Welcome to the Phil Davidson Show. The former Vietnam veteran and currently practicing attorney Phil Davidson presents entertaining guests and short features from his novel Dreamer. And now, here is Phil Davidson.
This is chapter 28. It takes place in Los Estados Prison, May 13th, 1982. Now it came to pass at the end of 7 days that the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Therefore hear a word from my mouth, and give them warning from me. When I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and give them no warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, that same wicked man shall die in iniquity, but his blood I will require on your hand. Excuse me. Yet if you warn the wicked, and he does not turn from this wickedness, not from his wicked ways, he shall die from iniquity, but you shall be delivered. A jet whirl of cold wind blew across the hard, frozen ground between the headquarters building and internments 1 and 2. Captain Alvarez bent at the waist and leaned forward with gusts of wind hitting him, filled with stinging snowflakes, and whipped against his face. With one hand he kept his parka's hood closed, and with the other he maintained his balance as he trudged purposely toward internment 2. The grounds around Los Estados prison were barren and flat. The fierce Antarctic winds that blew in from the cold sea formed the ground snow into ant-hill-like piles scattered irregularly across the dead brown tundra. The air was filled with a constant rushing of sound which, after prolonged exposure, could deafen a man. He passed the helicopter that brought him in from the mainland 2 days earlier and gave it a nervous sideways glance as if to make sure it was secure. He never stayed at Los Estados for more than 3 days at a time. There was too much to do on the mainland. The helicopter was his only way out. During the winter, there was a lifeless quality to the landscape that depressed him. Few people ever visited Los Estados of their own free will. Even his men, wary of the effects of the winter, hardly ever ventured outside. Then there were the wolves. They had to be fed. He gratefully pushed open the thick wooden double doors of internment 2 and entered the foyer. A guard sitting at his desk post just inside the great halls snapped to attention at his approach. Gracefully, he slid off his parka and handed it to the guard, seemingly without taking notice of his presence. The wind could be heard even inside the thick marble walls of the huge villa. It reminded him of the sound the elevated trains from the subways of New York made when he had visited that city as a boy. The great hall of internment 2 had been used at one time as a reception room for dances, weddings, and other gay social festivities of the aristocracy of Buenos Aires. It had once vibrated with the sounds of laughter and music. Now the hall housed the guards, who oversaw the entranceways to the villa's former great rooms, where prisoners were now interned. The hall was brightly lit by 3 immense chandeliers that hung from the villa's roofs. Ornate with garnished Baroque paintings of voluptuous baby-faced women in various suggestive poses, the paintings were the only remaining evidence of the former owners of the villa.
You have been listening to the Phil Davidson Show. For questions or comments about today's program, you may visit Phil on his website, dreamernoveltalk.com. That's dreamernoveltalk.com. His Blog Talk Radio address is blogtalkradio.com/Phil Davidson. Thank you so much for joining us this week on the program, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Phil Davidson Show.